Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're taking a look at 24 Hour by 17. This is their choreography video. I have had a lot of people request this one even before I started doing this marathon, so I'm very excited to finally take a look at it around the era that it has come out. I'm trying to watch these in as well of an order as I can based off of the eras that 17 has had since their group debut way back in the day. Because they've already had a contract renewal, they're at least, 8 years old. I think they're like 8, almost 9 years old as a group at this point, but I know they trained prior to their debut and all that. But I'm very excited to take a look at this, so let's watch it together. Yes to that! Oh, I love that so much. Winning from a staccato to a legato. I love group successions or movement quality like that so much. Ah! Yes! I love all the different utilizations of the clock. So fun. Yeah! I love that so much. Yes! Love that! You normally don't see people do transitions like that. That was so dope! Okay, little Zulu spin, I see you. Yes! That little shift from the pre-chorus to the chorus, or from the verse to the pre-chorus, reminds me of Young Blood, say you want it, from 5 Seconds of Summer, I think. Not the same song, but that exact shift in the track reminds me just of that. And I love that song too. Yes! 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 I love that. So much energy on that section specifically. So fun. I love that. Yeah. Just a single breath. Man, that was good. That was really good. I think that one has such wonderful visual imagery of 24 Hour. Like, I saw so many different interpretations of what that was, and I think that's what makes choreography so beautiful. It's just the exploration. You feel inspired at the end of the day too, because you're able to the hands, and you're like, going from something staccato and then really hitting it up through a legato trace with a wave is really, it hits the same as when you see somebody really kill it and popping and then they wave it out to switch up the dynamics. So tasteful. So tasteful. And then going from the top here, I love he starts with his hand up. Really signifies, of course he's in the center, so it's a bit easier to see. But I really liked how they chose to tape up the stage here. I think, I don't know if they end up doing that on live performances or anything like that. But I do like this marker because it really helps with the symmetry for them, because it is really hard to get this type of choreography, probably with their turnaround time. Good chance that they have a long time, and they know how to get choreo where it needs to be in a pretty good amount of time. But those visual aids really help a lot more than you think they do. So I'm really glad that they have that, because it helps us as individuals or people who choose to want to cover this. That's a really great marker to help with cleaning for yourself. I love that where they're building it up. So they actually took a more aerial shot approach so we can see the full thing. And I think that was so smart as well. Instead of having it from the front, you can't see the full aesthetic of it if you have the camera around the line, eye line, like what we're used to. You have to have it propped up a little bit higher for us to see it. I love this though, where they're all traveling around, matching the aesthetic of the track. And then right there, we have them separated into 3 groupings. We have our grouping in the back. We have our grouping right here on the side. This is the one, like, I think it was just very smart on the camera person's part, where they had the aerial shot when we have those clock visualizations of the traveling, and then they cut it down to the front. This is when it doesn't bother me when they do cuts. If they do a cut or they do a mask transition just because they didn't have a clean run, that's different than this. This is they're being mindful of where the choreography is going to look best in your camera shot. And they're doing a great job here, because this would read differently if it was an aerial shot in comparison to the circular choreo that you see with the clock. So you notice that you can't really see it as much with the clock if it's at this angle. But I love this here. Very clean. Yeah, now I do feel that in that particular body roll, some of them just did shoulders, and then some of them did an actual chest. I would say one of them he did his shoulders, he did his chest. So those are little baby things that can affect the cleanliness of a unison section. So that would be my one note for that little part specifically. But I love that turn. He's the only one who extends the hand, showcasing that he is our feature there, even though he is directionally facing the same way as everybody else. I love this here. Boom, boom, using the reaction of the snap. Boom, boom. For everybody else, I think that's Dino, right? Because I think part of it is his height, and second part of it is his movement quality, how he hits, and also it's how his hair reverbs when he moves. That's how I can also tell how he protrudes his movement quality in his chest, and I've said that already. Chest and head, when he has his hair down, and I know he wears it kind of similarly as well. I'll probably chalk it up to that too. And it's around the same era that I'm reacting to that I've really been catching this. But like how his hair falls or how it reverbs as he moves, it's something very distinct to him. So that's something I feel like I have a Dino tracker now. This is what I think I've called it. And then we're also seeing, this is Hoshi, right? Hoshi. He's really vibing with the plaid. So I've seen him wear plaid more than anybody else. And then also I've seen with Vernon, he always wears a little beanie of some kind or a very fluorescent shirt. I think it just kind of depends on the day. But anyway, I love that do-do-do-do, and they're bleeding it through, still having your feature in the front. But who was your feature there? Let me see. Now that's my one note. I have no idea who the feature was for that section. I don't know if it was the same guy or if somebody different. There wasn't anything that indicated me knowing who my feature was in that section, or maybe I just missed it that first time. Right here, this part right here, do-do-do-do-do-do. That was gorgeous. That sequence right there is probably one of my favorite sequences of the whole track, going from very militant, and then they waved it out to match his run. Beautiful. I think that was just really, really clean with all of them. I really do feel that way. That was awesome. And then they're taking it here, and then they twist the wrist to kind of turn them around. Everybody reacts to that. They come up. Both lines around. 2, 3, 4. Great to have everybody just drop down, being nice and still. Them creating more of a stability with their feet as they break and break. 2, 3. Right here. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm assuming it's the chorus. What they're doing is they're shoving the shoulders down. Dun, dun, hours, In order to actually carry a note, here's how you would have to do this. You can't use your chest because my vocals are going to be more resisted. But if I use my back, that's why I'm way more stable in the front part of my vocals. So that's what I think they're doing here. They're dragging this up. In order to make this nice and smooth, they have to make the back and the lats shoved down with the shoulders. And that's how you get that popping look without popping in the chest bop. And that's how you can make it look the way that it looks. I love that. I love that boom, doo, 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 doo. I love that woo and that pull, da, da, and they throw it away. Love that. Yeah, 24 hours. I love that bleed through right here. Super fun. With a nice little hook. Into a thread, swivel through. I love that. Drives it through. It feels like we have this, he's got this drapery of his outfit. It's a whole vibe. It's like I will say it's a very different vibe than what everybody else is wearing. It's just my note. It's not even a correction thing or anything. It's just something I just observed. And it's a whole vibe for him though. It looks like he's in I know this is a Japanese track, right? So this is like a Japanese rock band ballad, like rock star aesthetic is what he's giving off right here. Which works for this. Yeah, diddy, and then they pull it up. So really great matching on the tone for a lot of their choreo. I love that. So they're here, they go here, I'll show it, 24. So they're wrapping it around. So it's important to connect the wrists and then rebound it off. That takes an immense level of flexibility. I'm not warm at all, so that kind of hurt a little bit trying to do that. Okay, over the energy, boom, and they bring it around. And they wave it up. I love the swivel bringing it around and then having more of a subtle groove to finish it out. It was super fun there. And then nice little subtlety and then going back. So we're going back to the clock, switch. See? Yeah, switch the camera shot because now we're focusing more on this aesthetic. Now what's nice though is I think it's important for who they chose. They're featuring the more front people because if you're looking at this from an audience perspective in the front, you're going to be wanting to notice them as well. But if you're in arena, it would be better if you picked people sporadically in the formation. But because they don't do this for the majority of the verse, they only like pick a couple of people and then they transition people in between. So I think it just kind of depends as well. So I do like it where he hits more of the front here. Oh, I just kept making dots. I was wondering why I wasn't playing. I love that he's kind of acting like a shadow, you know, mimicking the footwork that we're seeing as well as the upper body. I really love that. That is super fun. Super fun. Threading it through, and then he goes right back to where he was. Then you have your next person with the pull, grabs, to switch. Right there. He has to be on top of in that position right before they transition or it's going to look off. Wonderful job on Hoshi's part to actually get back into the formation the way that he does. And I just realized this is one of the very few times that I actually called them by their names and not feature. Maybe by the end of it, I'll be able to do that with multiple people. We will see. But noticing here how he is creating the ticking, that reaction, and then all of them are taking it, reacting to it. Super fun. With the switching of the feet with more of a legato in the upper body. Really fun. And then they chose to swivel it here. It's still signifying a clock. I love that, but different. I love how they pulled. That is so freaking impressive. That little section right there. Normally people pull, people don't transition when that happens. I love how he pulled it, and then he had to get down and not get run over. And right there in the spacing is so vital. So good to see. The bleed up, he goes up, he has more of a hand behind his back. It really helps with those who are pressing up with the hand. He pulls it with the hips, and that helps match what they're doing, and they're about to do Zulu spin with the tuck of the foot, drops it down. So he does a great job matching that energy. They just did a bridge recover. Very impressive that all of them actually did that. My one note is not everybody flung their head to finish it off as an accent. That would be something I would recommend for everybody to do because some of them did not do it. Bleed it through. I love that bleed off or that reaction going from this side, whee, all the way to this side. Really fun to see that. Still showcasing your feature. Accent, boom, gets everybody up. Now everybody's tapping the ground. They're all tapping in a different way. Some are knocking and some are tapping. I think that's just a preference thing because they're all kind of subtly in a little different formation. They're all down and one knee is raised, and I'm assuming they're framing it out mirrored. But that's just my one note. If that was supposed to be unison, they need to establish, are they tapping or are they knocking? I think the knock would look better with this because it's the fists that are coming up. So I think a knock would be better than a tap. But to each their own. But then everybody's kind of tapping here. So I'm assuming this is what it was supposed to be. Then they go boom and they bleed it through. Everyone's just walking on tempo. Do-do-do-do. Bleeding through, really nice. Now having your feature, he is the one that is the one presenting. So it's very important. Honestly, I think it's very interesting how seamless it is to go from their features because I'm assuming the track was made before the choreography was. So I think it was super dope to getting them, okay, this is so-and-so, and not to make sure this person is in the front or in this part of the formation at this time. So it's a huge timing thing with a lot of these formations. So it's very, very impressive that they're able to pursue these complex formations and visuals and get the transition so seamless to where it doesn't even, it never occurs to me until 20-something reactions deep how timely these formations have to be to make sure you're showcasing the right person at the right time. And it's easier in some cases. This choreography, it is very difficult to feature the right person and make sure they stay in the right order. It's harder. It's not impossible because we just see it, but it is harder than some of their other discography that I've seen or their other choreographies on the formation side when it comes to making sure the right person's in the right place. Very impressive. Yeah, 24, rev it up. 4. I do feel like Hoshi's rushing just a tad bit here. If you notice, he comes up, but also it's his features, so it kind of makes, like, he has to work harder because he's singing it as they're trying to justify it. Yeah, so that's just my one note. That wasn't quite as crisp. I really feel like he was rushing just a smidgen, but it was still very full and very captivating. I love that they're going 24, very subtle, but approaching it more forward. They're all getting revved up in the back, getting ready to go. The pulls are really nice with the pull and the transition to everybody back on stage. Okay, let me make sure I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we got all 13. So I love this with the turn. We've seen them do that before. It was like a triple at one point. Very impressed with that. And they're one of the few groups that I think can seamlessly do something like that. And it doesn't surprise me that they're able to execute that particular barrel jump because I saw them prove their competency in it way back a couple eras ago at this point. So them doing that, pulling that off really nice, really hits that, it's more accented, which I really loved. And it goes dun, 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 really cool to see that. Then they go 1, 2, it's a 2 move now, so it's just a single move the first time, a double move, so now it's turned into a cannon, which is really cool to see that. So having your feature in the center, he's probably like, thank God I don't have to do this part. Because that'll be me. I need a break, right? I love this with the twinkling in, going from the bottom. But notice what they're doing here is they've threaded their hands through, and then you have people doing it on the top. That's super cool. And then they're mimicking clocks up here. Very, very visually polyrhythmic. I love it. And then they're doing the same thing. So they're opening it out. They're closing. And then under here, they're reopening their hands. I think that's super cool. I would say he rushed just a smidgen on his reopening of his hands. So that's just my one note. But I love the clock integration and the back part as well. That was super dope. That right here. And they do the same thing. But they add a body roll that time versus just the hit. This one I really feel there's a more legato groove that is present there. That boom, doo-doo, and they bring it back up. Love that too. And he throws it up. Boom! 3, 4, doon, doon, doo-doon, doo-doo-doo. I love that so much because it matches that guitar. Yeah, doon, doon, doo-doon, doo-doo-doo-doo. And it makes you hear it the way it needs to be heard. Love that. Even if we've heard that all the way up to this point, you didn't really, really hear it until that part. And I love the fact that was integrated there. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Really good. Yeah. 24, do. Really propelling the energy near the tail, and normally you see this in verse 2, but really having to push through in their energy here is super fun. Last chorus, you gotta give it everything. Tap, 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 boom, pull. Very full energy on this last ending bit. Look at that transition, very quick, took about 2 counts to get to that spot. Very nice on that end, but they also have to be very stable. Immediately go into a 1-leg stability check. With pulls, I love that, going from something really full to a more legato gliding groove, love that. Pulls, then they drop down, boom, slide down, and then they finish 24, and then they look at it hours. He does mimicking of the wrist near the tail end. Go ready in. Just a single sigh. Me too. Love it. Love it. This was a really, really fun visualization. And the placement of people mattered a lot more in this one, in the logistics of these types of formations, than what you normally see from anybody. So I really am impressed by this, and it is content-wise not the most difficult that they have on their discography from what I have seen, and I do know there's a couple others that may be deemed more difficult, but I'm still very much a fan of the visualization that has been presented, the imagery as well. I feel like they've really revved that up. Their performance was on the back burner, but the performance wasn't the main facet of this. It was the wordplay. It was the metaphoric similes, just the different ways to utilize a clock, and I love that. And you notice too, and I just now realized, and I hate the fact that I just realized this, they have 13 members, and they have 1 member representing a number all the way through, and you have one of them at the top, or one of them there. You never see not 12 in that formation. You always see 12, and you always see 1 in the middle. You never see all of them on the ground. And part of me was wondering why, and it just clicked to me why. So sorry it took me 20 minutes of analyzing it to see that, but I'm glad I saw it now and not after. So that was dope. So dope. So dope.